Hello, welcome back to the ministry, and we're doing Why Did I Get Married? We are doing this a little bit different where we're not going movie by movie, we're going relationship by relationship. If you missed the Terry and Diane saga, go back and look at that 4-parter. And if you missed the Patricia and Gavin saga, go back and watch those parts. We are now entering the Sheila and Mike part of the film. Okay? So, where do we meet Sheila and Mike? Sheila and Mike are preparing to leave to go on the vacation to the cabin. Sheila booked the tickets for this vacation 6 months ahead of time. She wanted to make sure that everything came out properly. And when she booked a seat for her friend Trina to join them. Okay? Let's start out with the obvious. She's married to Mike. Mike is an insensitive narcissist. Let's just get that right out the way. We see that he's an insensitive narcissist when the flight attendant comes to say that she's too big because Sheila is over 200 some odd pounds. And she weighs so much that she comes into a scenario where the flight attendant says, your seat isn't big enough for you. We usually suggest that people of your size buy 2 seats, because it was disturbing the gentleman that was sitting next to her. Now, instead, what would have been the intelligent answer would have been that Mike, if he wasn't a narcissist, sit in the seat that she was sitting in and let her sit in the double seat, which was her friend and him. He was sitting next to her friend. And more so, should have been a red flag the fact that he wanted to sit back there with her. Then on top of it, he insensitively say, I'm not going to buy her big bleep another seat. I'm going to give you a couple dollars. You drive back on your own. Mike is an insensitive jerk. I thought I just mentioned that. He operates under a narcissistic spirit. A spirit of intimidation and a spirit of mockery. He uses jokes to tell you how he really feels about you. You call this, what do you call it? Negative compliments. Always having that snide little end piece of a remark. You say all of this only to give you that snide little end piece remark. He also operates in the spirit of gaslighting. Okay? Let's just get that out of the way. So, she says, okay, Mike, I'll get off the plane and leave you on the plane with my best friend. We soon learn that Sheila is not as discerning as everyone around her. She's very gullible. And she also operates from an attachment style of being insecure. Okay? She's very insecure. And a person operating in, I believe it's an obsessive attachment style. Let me see right quick because I got the note right here. So it's insecure. I think it's anxious, insecure. But it being anxious, insecure, it kind of causes, hold on, but she's kind of got this attachment style in which her type of attachment, she falls for a person that doesn't want anything to do with her, basically. So she's attracted to someone that rejects her. But that narcissistic, there's a word for it. I don't see it in this version of the attachment styles, that makes the person, they're almost drawn to someone exactly like her. And that's what Mike is. He's drawn to someone like her because he has the ability to control her. And she's drawn to someone like him because she feels needy. So she goes and gets in the car and she drives up. As she's driving up, she spends time in the car saying to herself, speaking to the Lord. Now, she the one that's the Christian one. She's speaking to the Lord. Lord, I'm going up here. I'm going to go up this mountain and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to save my marriage. Because I know that this is our last opportunity because we got to save our marriage. Sometimes we are trying to hold on to something that God himself is trying to snatch out of our hands. Okay? And she drives all day to get to the mountains. And see, this is how God works. God will introduce you to your new thing. Your boo thing. Put them right there in front of your face. But you got to go through a journey to get there. Because she gets to a delayed impasse because a tree fell over during the storm and nobody could get up to the cottage. But Troy, who is a deputy that works at the sheriff's office, I think he's a deputy, he may be the new sheriff, I don't know, but he works at the sheriff's office, and she comes in saying, okay, well, I'm trying to get up to the mountain. How do I get up there? And he says, you can't get up there. A tree fell down. You have to wait. She's like, what you mean? I'm this type of girl. I know how to make my way around all this kind of stuff. I can handle myself in this kind of weather. So you can see that she has a bit of an attitude about her. But she does not have it with Mike. So she's talking to Troy and she says, okay, I'll get up there on my own. And he said, you can't get up there. The tree has fallen down and there's no way up the path. It's completely blocked off. They're going to come and remove the tree in the morning, but you're going to have to wait. And she's like, okay, well, where's the next hotel? He says, it's actually up the mountain too. And she's like, so I'm stuck down here. He said, well, I can offer you a bed here at the deli office. She sits down and she's like, I guess that's all I can do, because I mean, sometimes, let's just say it, sometimes God is trying to open up a route for you to show you your next direction. But you have to be willing to be open to seeing it. Okay? So the next morning, he takes her back up the mountain. Meanwhile, while she was in absence, Mike shows up to the cabin with Trina, her best friend. And all the women are standing there on the porch like, who this chick? Who this chick? We ain't know. Anybody tell us that she was coming? Who this? Who that there? And they're like, Mike's like, oh, this Trina, Sheila's friend. And the first thing they sitting up, they're like, Sheila's friend. Why would Sheila's friend actually come up here without Sheila? Because I mean, if it was us, we wouldn't come out here without Sheila. What you mean? She's Sheila's friend. I was like, do you trust that situation? No. So all the wives standing there like, we don't like this. And Tasha's standing there like, I'm going to keep my Vaseline and my tennis shoes. We don't know what we about to deal with up there. And so they come into the house and start making food. And they watching this woman talking with their husbands. And Tasha's like, can you bring your behind up in the kitchen with us, Trina? Yes, come in the kitchen. We ain't gonna be cooking and cleaning and leaving you out here without some husbands. We're gonna find out more about her in the next one. But meanwhile, that night, Tasha happened to be up because her and Marcus are dealing with some stuff. We're gonna get today's story in another one. And she steps out the bedroom because she's frustrated. I think she went to go to the bathroom or something like that. And when she went to go to the bathroom, she sees Mike leave his room and go into Trina's room. And Trina's in her room in the shower. She comes to the kitchen the next morning and she's talking to the rest of the girls. And she says, he stayed in that room with Trina all night up until about an hour ago. They're like, oh, but we can't tell Sheila. It's like, how did you mean we can't tell Sheila? Okay, this is the female that is the problem. It's not that she won't hurt nobody. It's the fact that she just don't like Mike. She hates Mike. She like, I don't like him. I don't like her either. Moving on. Sheila finally show up with Troy this morning. So she's sitting there like, Trina, this is Troy. He's single. You're single for all she understands. Maybe y'all might have a good time and hit it off. So Mike moves. Let the single woman sit next to the single man. And Mike's sitting there looking P.O.'d. Because now Troy's sitting between him and this chick. And his wife comes up and starts trying to help them in the kitchen to make sure everything is all right. So later in that day, they end up going to the lodge where all the shopping locations are. And everybody else is kind of whispering behind Sheila's back. Conversation she don't hear because she too busy talking to Trina, and Trina sitting there suggesting, hey girl, you should buy that nightgown. I bet you Mike would like that. She's like, me? Sheila is about 200, 250, pushing 300 pounds. She's like, I cannot fit in that. They would need 2 of them to cover just my behind. No. 1. Sheila has low self-esteem about herself. She does not look at herself in any positive manner, and she speaks negatively about herself. She has negative self-talk. And it's not because she's just negative. 9 times out of 10, the reason she has negative self-talk is because Mike's been talking to her negatively for years. All the years that they've been together. Which probably led to her weight gain as well. Because she's more than likely an emotional eater. And she eats her pain. So, as it goes on, she comes back actually having taken Trina's advice and comes in with the nightgown, and she's like, I got this for you. And Mike's like, oh, that's cute. Trina told you about it. You look like a termite tent. But you know what you can do? Can you turn the light off? And she said, I bought this for you because I thought that maybe, he said, you know what you can think, you can turn the light off. Could you turn the light off? So this is the disrespect that he gives her on a daily basis. This is the disrespect. So she's in a phase of in her feelings. So the next time we see her, they're at the dining room table. And this is where Mike decides to tell everybody's business and spills everybody's beans. And Tasha turns around and tells on him. And says, he too busy telling about everybody else's business, but don't want to tell about his own business because he turned around and sleeping with your best friend. She like, wait, sleeping with my friend? What you mean sleeping? And then she turned to look at him, and he looked away for a moment, and then the friend looking down, and she like, wait, what? He said, yeah, well, okay, well, now that my business is out there. And technically, that was what triggered him telling everybody else's business. Because she told on him. Because a narcissist is not going to be one-upped. Especially by somebody. Not so much that they're another narcissist, but yeah, you could consider that she's slightly narcissistic too. So he comes and he sits next to her, to Sheila, and says, look, you can keep the property. I put bars on it for you. But I'm going to leave and I'm going to spend time with Trina. So we're going to divorce and all this kind of stuff. And she's sitting there catatonic. And the second he turn around and get up, she take the wine bottle and bust him upside the head. Think about it like this. It's kind of like with what Patricia was dealing with. sometimes when you're the one that's always the one that has to be the perfect one, always the one that deals with it and deals with it and deals with it and deals with it, eventually you're going to come to a point in time that you no longer going to want to deal with it. So she reached her breaking point and chose that time to crack him upside the head. Now, because we're dealing with Sheila and Mike, we're going to fast forward, okay? Because the next phase deals with her and Troy. We're not going to deal with her and Troy until I get to her and Troy. So we're going to come back to Sheila and Mike. Sheila and Mike get a divorce. She ends up staying in Colorado. He moves on and stays with Trina. They don't see each other again face to face until they come to Patricia's dinner at the end of the first film. And he sees that she has now lost all the weight and is at a reasonable size, at least half the size that she was when they were together. And he's now finding out that she's married Troy. And he's like, wow, she looks good. And all the guys are looking at him like, oh, the grass green on the other side, I see, huh? Because now he got reservations about the fact that he's no longer with her. Isn't that what happens to most people? They do you wrong, and then when they see that you doing better for yourself, they now want to say, oh, look at what had happened when. So we end up now seeing Sheila and she's now married to Troy. Fast forward to the next movie. She and Troy are married now. We're not going to focus on their marriage because we're going to focus on their marriage in the her and Troy part. But Mike shows up to this vacation. This is 5 years later. And now Mike is there, making the situation awkward for everybody because they're like, I know he's not here. But Mike seemingly has his own motives for being there. Nobody knows his real reason for having shown up in the first place. But the one thing that they aren't happening to pick up is that he's in a remorseful state. He's reminiscing about old times with everybody. What nobody knows is Mike is sick. We find out when they get back that Mike is in the process of getting chemo because he has cancer. Don't remember what stage it is, but he's got cancer. He ends up asking Sheila, would she assist him by helping him make sure that he's getting back and forth to his appointments? Because nobody else knew what was going on with him. And he felt that she was the only person that he could trust. But while they were on the vacation and he trying to reminisce with her, we find a little bit more about their backstory. They met while I believe that they were in high school. And he used to get her into like little troublesome situation. Because he was sitting there trying to run. He's like, remember the time when we went to the store and did this, that, and the other? And I remember those times. And he was sitting there trying to say, and it's like, you were so scared that night and such and such and such. So you kind of get some understanding as to how long that they had been together and known each other. He was pretty much her first romantic relationship, and they got married. But she mentioned at the end of the first movie, he was not. Because she said, you did think that you was my first. So was he a rebound in high school that she got involved with and ended up marrying because she had low self-esteem about herself and maybe he was protective at the time? But what we end up finding out is that Sheila was having issues with Mike. He wasn't only just talking to her rudely. He used to beat on her. Because she mentioned a point in time in which she couldn't scrub the blood off the floor tiles in their bathroom because she remembered the pink towels because the blood wouldn't come out. No, it was the yellow towels. And she kept scrubbing and kept scrubbing because he had busted her nose. She's like, yeah, that's what I remember. So he wasn't just narcissistic, he was abusive. Getting back to what happened after that, he ended up going to chemo and she took him. But this brought a rift between her and Troy. We'll dig a little bit deeper into that as we jump into the her and Troy, which is coming up next. But she decided to help him because she's still very kind-hearted. And remember, she's the Christian one out of these people. Remember, she was the one sitting in the car praying to the Lord and driving up there. So when offered the opportunity, after all the confusion that had occurred, she ends up helping him. And at first, she thought that he was trying to bribe her for something that she asked his assistance in. But he's still Mike and he still did what he did. And it's because of what he did that caused the confrontation towards the end of the film when her husband came to his apartment, found her there, and he thinking, what the hell are you doing here? Which causes her to open her mouth and tell him he's got cancer. I was here helping to make sure that he was all right. The last time we see Mike is at Gavin's funeral. Or shall I say Gavin's, what's his name? Gavin's, celebratory, what have you, because they were sending his ashes on. So we find that he actually survived. They misconstrued us in the preview for the film because they wanted to misdirect and make you think that Mike was dying. So that when you saw the funeral at the end, you thought it was Mike that died. That being said, that was pretty much him and Sheila in the fullness of the capacity of their relationship. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Sheila and Troy coming up next.